Ani, Kinamagi Nene Ireland Indishnikas, and welcome to today's edition of our Social Studies Explorer. Today's edition, Geography, Lesson 2. The learning objective for today's lesson, students will be able to use correct terminology to discuss the globe. When we talk correct terminology, we're talking words like latitude and longitude and globe. And we'll talk more about those words and vocabulary definitions in just a little bit. What do you need for this lesson? Your Social Studies Alive textbook and a pencil. Our initial vocabulary includes the words region, which is a broad geographic area distinguished by similar features. That can be based off of landforms, that can be based off of culture. It can be different things at different times. Like we know we're in the Midwest region, but we're also in the Great Lakes region. Diverse means differing from one another. Latitude is the angular distance north or south from the Earth's equator, measured through 90 degrees. For instance, we're somewhere between 43 and 44 degrees north latitude here in mid-Michigan. Longitude is the arc or portion of the Earth's equator intersected between the meridian and a given place and the prime meridian. So now instead of talking about the y-axis, we're talking more about the x-axis. Globe is a spherical representation of the Earth, so a model. The compass rose, that's a diagram on maps and compasses that displays the cardinal directions and their intermediate points. You can see that we are now in this lesson including some Ojibwe language vocabulary. You can always click on these links to hear its pronunciation. And for example, if you clicked on this one right here, all you'd have to do is click this. Ningabianung. So we have a key, Giwaden, Jawanang, Wabanang, and Ningabianung. If you wanted to hear the particular video I included, you could click here. I've already opened it, so let's go ahead and listen to that.
Connie, and hello all of my relatives. The four directions play an incredibly important role in both cultural and spiritual tradition with the Anishinaabe people. And I thought I would tell you how to say them in Ojibwe. So the east is Wabanong. Wabanong, this is where the sun rises. Shawanong. Shawanong is our Ojibwe word for the south, or in the south. Ningabianong. Ningabianong is the west, and Giwetanong, or Kiwetanong, is the north. And that's how you say the four directions in Ojibwe. Miigwech.
So the first piece of material in today's lesson is called The Globe, a Model of Our Earth. It is a video. So on the following slide, you're going to find that video. At this point, you do need a paper and a pencil. As you view the video, I want you to list 3 things that you've learned and 2 questions you still have. If you're doing this lesson from home, you can always bring that paper in. If you were here in the classroom, then you would turn it into me directly. So let's go to that slide.
Our planet Earth, like all other planets, is spherical in shape. It appears blue in color when seen from space. However, had there not been a small model of this huge planet, it would be impossible for man to locate far-off places on it. 2 important tools used to study the Earth are globes and maps. The globe. A globe is a small model of the Earth which shows us its different features on a smaller scale. The picture shows you what the Earth looks like. A globe shows the exact location, shapes, and gives an idea about relative size of all the land areas as well as water bodies on the Earth. Water bodies. The large water bodies called oceans are shown in blue color. There are 5 oceans on the Earth: the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, the Indian Ocean, the Southern Ocean, and the Arctic Ocean. Continents. Large, extensive masses of land on the Earth are called continents. Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Europe, Australia, and Antarctica are the 7 continents on the Earth. Poles. The Earth constantly rotates or turns on its axis of rotation. This axis is an imaginary line passing through the Earth that points north and south. Look at the picture. The Earth has 2 poles. The northernmost point is the North Pole and the southernmost point is the South Pole. Hemispheres. The imaginary line which divides the Earth into 2 equal halves is called the equator. The area lying above the equator is called the northern hemisphere, and the one lying below it is called the southern hemisphere. Important lines on the globe and its structure. It is easier to locate places on the globe because of the horizontal and vertical lines drawn on it. Parallels of latitude. When we look at a globe, we find horizontal lines drawn on it running parallel to the equator. These are called latitudes or parallels of latitudes. Some important features of latitudes. Latitudes are numbered from the equator at 0 degree to 90 degrees north and south. The North Pole is at 90 degrees north and the South Pole is at 90 degrees south. The equator is the longest of the parallels. The parallels of latitude move towards the north and south poles from the equator, forming smaller and smaller circles. Special parallels of latitude. Following are 7 special parallels of latitudes on the globe. The equator at 0 degree. Tropic of Cancer at 23.5 degrees north. Tropic of Capricorn at 23.5 degrees south. Arctic Circle at 66.5 degrees north. Antarctic Circle at 66.5 degrees south. North Pole at 90 degrees north. South Pole at 90 degrees south. Meridians of longitude. The vertical lines on the globe which run from north to south are called longitudes or meridians. The prime meridian, the 0-degree longitude, divides the earth into two equal vertical hemispheres, the east hemisphere and the west hemisphere. Some important features of longitudes or meridians. Unlike latitudes, these lines are not parallel but meet one another at the poles. All meridians are equal in lengths. The prime meridian is located at Greenwich, near London, in England, 0-degree. Longitudes to the east of Greenwich are called east longitudes, E, and those to the west are called west longitudes, W. Importance of latitudes and longitudes. Latitudes and longitudes make a crisscross network on the globe. This is called a grid. These imaginary lines help us to locate a place on the earth both quickly and accurately. For example, locating Jaipur on the globe is not difficult at all. All we have to do is to find out the latitude closest to Jaipur, which is 26.92 degrees north, and the longitude closest to it, which is 75.82 degrees east.
All right, our next steps in today's lesson is for you to turn to page 10 or log into your student account and complete it digitally. But before I do that, I do want to talk about some of the vocabulary that's in here in this lesson. It's not necessarily all in today's lesson, but throughout this chapter. Climate is the weather elements such as temperature, rainfall, and wind that are measured over a period of time. Right now, as I look out my window, it's sunny and 90 degrees. I can't assume that that's what it's always like. We know that it was rainy and in the 60s the other day. So you have to look at the big picture. Compass or compass rose, we talked about that one already, a tool instrument for finding directions. That image there, that's your compass rose. Geography is the study of our physical surroundings and how humans interact with them. Globe is, again, that sphere that it's a model of the earth. Government, the organization that makes laws in a country, state, or community and has the power to enforce them. Landform is a physical feature on Earth's surface, such as a mountain or plain. Latitude, as we just saw, is an imaginary line called a parallel that runs west and east around the Earth. I like to call it the y-axis if we were doing our coordinate planes in math. Longitude is going to be your x-axis there. They run from the North Pole to the South Pole. And the reason that Greenwich is the 0 degrees is that's where they started counting from. So, you know, politics and history do kind of mesh sometimes. And that's why it's 0 degrees there and not, say, Mount Pleasant, Michigan. A physical feature is a part of our surfaces, including land masses and bodies of water. This one here is a marsh. And vegetation, the types of plants in an area or region. The page 10 that I asked you to do, you could check your answer here. So maybe pause the video, do it, and then check. You can see a landmass. You have physical feature, compass. Globe is a sphere that is a model of your longitude. climate, latitude, and landform. I'll show the answer key on this one here. There you go. All right, let's get into the readings. And now I'm not going to read this to you. You can access this using your TCI student login. There is an option there for it to read the section to you. And I strongly encourage that if you need it. If you don't, then there's no requirement for it. I have highlighted some things in this text that you may want to copy. Now, the best way to do that is to either highlight it while I'm going through it and then write it down later, or you can pause the video, start the video as necessary. So understanding the globe, you look over here, you see the northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere divided by the equator. And the most northern point on Earth is the North Pole. This is not to be confused with magnetic North Pole. That moves, and it is not at 90 degrees. Same thing applies to the South Pole. Looking here, when you go face north, so if you took your body right now and found north, when you east is to your right, west is to your left, and south is behind you. Those four directions are the main points on a compass. They're called cardinal directions. Intermediate directions are your northwest, southeast, and so forth. Southeast and southwest do play roles when we get into our next chapter. Well, northwest as well. Going down here, here's your prime meridian. On the half of Earth north, where we got is the northern hemisphere and southern. West of the prime meridian is the western hemisphere. That's where we are located. And this is the eastern hemisphere. Yes, that means parts of Africa could be in the west, and across the street could be in the east. You can see our continents here. Remember that continents are the big pieces, such as the United States is in North America. North America starts all the way up here in Alaska and Canada. Then we go to the United States, Mexico, Central America, ending at Panama, and then we're in the South America. Those are different than countries and states. There are 7 continents, as you can see, North and South America. They make up the Western Hemisphere. Then we have Europe and Asia, sometimes called Eurasia, because there's a mountain chain that pretty much is the dividing line there. Africa, Australia, and Antarctica. If you're going to do this at home, I suggest you do the reading check and see how you did. So now I'm going to scroll up. Sorry about having to go fast there. And going to pages 14 and 15, I've already done this for you as well. Lines that run east and west are called parallels of latitude. You'll also hear lines of latitude as well. This is more the better terminology, but when talking to people, you'll hear that. You can see 0 degrees runs through here. We are up in this area between 43, 44 degrees. And then you can see our longitude. And it does work together to create a coordinate plane like you would do in math. So we call those meridians of longitude. Also, sometimes people will call them lines of longitude. Remember, as I scroll, if you need to pause something to get this green, either to copy it or highlight it in your book and get it later, please pause the video and unpause it as you need to. The starting place for measuring longitude is the prime meridian. Prime can mean first. And then at the bottom, you have another reading check. See how you do on that one and get your answer. An optional task today, if you're interested, and this is referenced back in the main part of the PowerPoint, you can go and kind of see where different things are located. So at 42 and 84, we're in Lenawee County. Scrolling down here, let's see how close we can get it. Saguenay is at near 44 North and 84 West. Just north of us here in Harrison, a little west of there, 44 and 85. So those are about the same latitude. It's another degree over. So knowing the distance between Harrison and Standish or Saguenay area, that's going to give you kind of an idea about how much space is in 1 degree. It's about an hour drive around here. So you kind of scroll down there. Mackinac, we're at 46 degrees there. And you can see we crossed 45 degrees. That's halfway between the equator and the pole. And there's a nice sign along I-75 when you get that point. All right, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint here. That was the degree confluence project. I'll have that posted in the Google Classroom as well. So all these links are there along with this video. I want to say miigwech for viewing this video. All social studies alive materials posted are the intellectual property of the Teachers Curriculum Institute and used for educational purposes only. And then citations. You can see where we got the Instagram video with the language and the YouTube video. You can always check out those sites if you are more interested in other things here. I want to thank you for partaking in today's lesson. If you have any questions, please reach out to me at mireland@sagchip.org or mireland@sagchipschool.net. I can take questions. If you're not sure about material or something doesn't work, please do reach out. We do have some options for reteach. If you're struggling, always reach out to me. All right, well, have a minogijigad, minwa, bamapi.